So today I'm really loving today's prompt, which is business and blog tips. And I have a lot of stuff to say, but I came down to sort of like three or four main things that I wanted to talk about. So I think probably the most important, and this is, I'm talking more to bloggers right now too. What I see a lot is people get an idea that they want to start a blog, or maybe they've already started a blog and they haven't really promoted it. It's just kind of something they're keeping, close to their heart. It's just some artistic way to get out, write if they love writing or what have you. But what I see a lot is people get nervous about sharing it. And I'm always kind of curious as to those who have a blog and don't tell anyone about it. I guess I understand when it's purely about your family and you're using it more as a diary. That I totally understand. And yes, there is a place in the blog world for you to just share it with family and to have on record your kids growing up and all that stuff. I think that's lovely when people do that. And it's also nice to put on, maybe they're just sharing it with their Facebook friends who, if you're interested, hear more about my family. That's fine. But when people have ones that are health topics, why aren't they sharing it? And it's funny because that's my thinking now, and I feel like I sort of did that when I originated Below the Fork. I would put it on Twitter. You're always scared to, oh, don't doubt yourself. No, confidence. That is my word for 2016. We'll work on it together, Jenny. I would put it on Twitter, and I feel like I've always been this way too, where I care less about what strangers think of me. That's probably why I'm on Periscope right now. But I care a lot of what people I know in real life think of me, and that's why I'm like Facebook Live. I don't think so. So it's interesting how sort of I've evolved over time. But I want to say, if you do have a blog and you're sort of keeping it under wraps, share it. It's interesting, the people who have been my biggest supporters, ones who are always reading my blog, and they may not even interact within my blog or leave comments or even like my Facebook, but when I see them in person, they'll tell me how much they love my content. Those I couldn't have guessed some of those people. They're friends. They're a little bit higher than the acquaintance level. Absolutely. Love that. But they've just been really supportive, and it's great. And I always say about my blog too, and I've shared this before on Periscope, but sort of my little mantra, I guess, is if I inspire just one person today, I'm good. If nobody likes what I've written, nobody reads what I've written, if I just inspire one person, it is not in vain. It is all worth it. And I have also said too, particularly my blog, which it started out as a blog, now it's evolved into a business, but it was just a blog, and it was based on gluten-free recipes. After I had my diagnosis and had to venture into the world of celiac disease and the gluten-free lifestyle, I created a blog so that I could create recipes, store them, and I'm like, you know what, even if it's just my online like recipe box, that's cool, like easy to get, just jump on my iPad, put it up in the kitchen so that I can cook meals. It's evolved into so much more than that because I started promoting it. So that's sort of like my number one tip. If you have a blog and it is informative and it's something based on your experiences, or just share it, see what happens. And don't get hung up too on if you don't get a lot of likes, because I'm here to tell you, when you put it on Facebook, Facebook has this wonderful algorithm that it just wants to screw you over and not let anybody see your content. So if you're not only getting a couple likes on there, that's okay. Keep going, keep promoting. I find I get a lot more traction on Instagram and Pinterest anyway, and on Twitter too. People just seem to be more I think the content just actually gets to them because Facebook is like locking it down. So my second tip would be to find your voice. And if that takes a while, that's okay. When I look back to what some of my original posts were on belowthefork.com, I mean, they're not the worst, but I'm certainly not sharing them anymore. I really evolved over time, and granted, I started my blog before I had any certifications in the fitness and nutrition field. So that was one aspect of it. I mean, I was educated by articles and such, but I didn't have that real like classroom knowledge. So there's that aspect of it. But you know, I've just learned to I kind of took a different path than what I expected. So I think people get these ideas in their head that they want to start a blog, but they think they need to have this beautiful website and, you know, this common theme and, you know, everything, all the ducks need to be in a row. You don't have to do that. Like, just do it. Put some, like, pen to paper, fingers to keyboard, and just do it and see what happens. Leave a few posts. I do at least know my voice. That's awesome. Just can't figure out who my ideal reader is. Right. Well, you know, I've evolved over time too, and figuring out who my ideal reader is, and that is a really important. That's a really important exercise too. But I think if you're like hung up on even getting the blog started, put it to paper and then worry about all that stuff later. So that's kind of how I wanted to. If you're thinking about it, focus on the little things at first. I think it can be very overwhelming, especially if you're on Periscope and you're watching a lot of business and blog scopes and stuff. Sometimes there's that, it's almost, what do they call it? FOMO, fear of missing out, or fearing you're not doing enough because you hear about this person talking about how they're making like 6-7 figures on their blog every month. That can be very overwhelming. And then you start doubting yourself and then feeling like, what am I doing wrong? How can I monetize? So kind of quiet that out if you're just at the beginning of your journey and focus on getting your content in there. And then you can start working your way up. So I've had Below the Fort for 4 years now. And just in the past, so sort of 2015, I was like, I'm doing the full out blogger thing. Like, I'm going to monetize my site. I want to do product reviews. I want ads on my site. I'm going to do the whole thing. So I did that. And I decided it wasn't for me. Other people rock at that, and they like legit are making 6-7 figures doing product reviews, guest bloggers, ads on the side. And it's not for me. That's not the route I wanted to take. So for me in 2016, it's kind of sweeping all of that back and the efforts that I had made throughout the latter half of 2015 to go in the blogger route to be more of a business. So now I'm no longer doing, I mean, I'll do a few blogger reviews here and there because I will still maintain a blog on my site, but that's not my goal anymore. So that's sort of like my, what are we at, 2 or 3rd tip? To figure out what you want to do. And if your blog takes on many different faces and looks over the years, that's okay. Like I said, I started out as just a little blog for me. I built it to a bigger blog, and then I thought I wanted to really go in the back and doing more of, it's a business. So I rebranded. It's a totally different look now. Now when you go to belowthefork.com, it's not, you know, my latest blog post. It's a sales page and, you know, getting to know me and getting to know what I'm all about and the services that I offer. I've now, you know, gotten more certifications, and I'm working on my certification for health coach. So it's totally different. Keep evolving. How do you proceed on how to progress? So it's 1, believing in myself, and 2, having a vision, and 3, just being scared to death of having to go back to corporate America. I'm not gonna lie. I've been very fortunate in that I've mainly gotten to be a stay-at-home mom the last 3 years. But it's a season. It's not something financially we can maintain for the long run. It was important to us and to make those sacrifices for me to be home. My littlest is 2, and next year he'll be going to a Young Threes program. So he'll be out of the house 2 mornings a week. And then, you know, it'll just build from there. And my oldest, I have 2 boys, my oldest is in kindergarten, so he's there every day this year, which is crazy. And so, you know, I'm just trying to get everything in order because my absolute goal is I want to stay in the fitness and nutrition industry, but I need to make enough income that it makes sense, because I gave up a job. I'm a digital marketer. I was in account services. I had a really good salary, but I gave it all up. And while I love marketing, I love social media, I love the principles of digital marketing, I cannot be in that agency world again. It just ain't gonna happen. So that is why I'm like gung-ho into my business. So that's another point, really having an important why. Why do you want to do this? What is the purpose of your website? If you're like, this is just my hobby, this is fun, then like ignore all the like tips and stuff like that's constantly coming at you, especially on Periscope. Because on one hand, Periscope has really lit a fire under my ass, which needed to be done because this is my goal and I have such a strong why. But I can see on the other hand, if I was like, just cool with my blog, everything was good, and I either didn't need to go back to work or I had another plan to go back into corporate America, I would be very overwhelmed and maybe turned off by some of these crazy tips and facts and you gotta be an entrepreneur type things coming at me on Periscope. So I think before you do anything, no matter where you are, if you're new at a blog, if you've been blogging for 10 years, wow, that we can even say 10 years is more than that blogs have been around. I feel old right now. So anyway, just wherever you are, just think about, why am I doing this and what is my goal? What do I see 6 months from now? What do I see a year from now? And if it's just like, this is my creative outlet, this is fun, don't worry about it. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'm sure it's awesome content, and I'd love to check it out. Or if you're like, this is it, I'm making something of this, my site is going to be a major source of my income, you can do it. If that is your goal, you absolutely can do it. So that's my little scope for today. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks for interacting, Jenny. Really appreciate it. If you guys want to look up my website and see what I'm talking about, it's just evolved so much in the last couple weeks. Like, I'm not even kidding, totally different. BelowTheFork.com. You can also find me on Instagram at BelowTheFork, and I'm on Twitter, Ms. Mare Oram. And as you can see, Periscope still has not updated my handle on here. It's supposed to be Below the Fork. I had to abandon the old account because I had made it under my cell phone number. This one's under Twitter, but they haven't updated yet. And once they do that, then I can update my Twitter account so that everything across the board will be Below the Fork. So anyway, thanks for hanging out, guys. Have an awesome day. See ya.